I was watching this video featuring Pier Morgan, and he's talking to some Ahmed, probably from Palestine. Listen to this conversation and see the hypocrisy of Pier Morgan.
That is actually what genocide is. When you want to kill as many Jews as you can kill.
That's the problem, Piers.
Yeah, but that is genocide.
No, that is the problem. You always say that they want to kill the Jews.
They do.
That is dangerous. You and I know that.
But they do.
Our problem is not against the Jews.
They don't make any secret of it.
No. Our problem is not with the Jews. And even Hamas' problem is not with the Jews. It is with the Israelis.
Why do they kill so many Jews then?
They did not kill Jews. They killed Israelis. And I don't justify killing of Israel. It's not that I want them to kill Israelis.
What religion do you suspect most of the Israelis were?
It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
No, it makes a huge difference. They were not attacked because they were Jews. They were.
Exactly. I mean, this guy, Pier Morgan, doesn't he understand this simple thing? Now, these Palestinians, when they attack to defend their homeland, they obviously attack the occupiers, who in this case are the Israelis. And by religion, they happen to be Jews. So how can they take out Judaism from Israeli when they attack? It doesn't matter if they are Jews, if they are Christians, if they are Muslims also. Palestine has the right to defend their motherland. And they are rightly attacking Israelis. So how is it considered as an attack on Jews? It's not Holocaust. Holocaust was different, where Jews were specifically targeted. And in my opinion, I think there would have been some reason why the Jews were hated all over the world. And now we realize, now I think after seeing all that Israel has done to Palestine, the state of Palestine, which obviously does not exist as on today, except for a small portion of West Bank, which is also tightly controlled by Israel, I now understand why Jews are hated so much. And there is a strong reason why Hitler was against Jews. So let's see how this video goes.
Were attacked because they were Israelis. It's a huge difference.
Well, how many of the people who were killed were not Jewish?
It doesn't matter. But would you like?
Of course it matters.
No, it matters. Let me ask you a question. So many Palestinians were killed. Thousands of Palestinians were killed. Would you call Israel killed the Muslims?
Exactly.
In Gaza? You would say
Exactly. Now, when Israelis attack Palestine, which is again illegal because they are the occupiers. Now, does the media says, okay, Israel attacked Muslims? No, you say Israel attacks Palestine. Okay. Now, why is this guy saying, no, you killed Jews? No, they killed Israelis who are the occupiers.
Palestinians. And the Israelis were Israelis. They were not there as Jews. They were there as Israelis. And that is dangerous, Piers. It's not a religious war.
Exactly.
This is a war between colonization and colonized occupiers. And
they're defending their homeland, their motherland.
Who have been
what is wrong in
under
that?
blockade, under siege, under occupation for the past 77 years. It's not with the Jews. We never had a problem with the Jews. We love the Jews as much as we love the Christians.
But you have a problem with Israelis?
Of course, we have a problem with the Israelis as occupiers.
Exactly. I mean, guys, you have a house. Now, if a thug who is not at all related to you just comes, and then initially he is nice, and then he says, okay, I need to stay here for a few days. He stays. And then eventually he gets in more of his members and then kicks you out from your own house. Or maybe a few days let you stay in one small room, and then eventually he kills many of your family members and kicks you out of your own house. What would you do? What would you do? This situation is exactly that. There is not much difference, except the house is the land of Palestine, which rightly belong to the Palestinian Arabs, the Palestinian Christians, and a small number of Palestinian Jews who were there before the actual Jews from the Holocaust came in. Okay, so there is a distinction between Jews who were there inherently inside Palestine, which was a small number. The Arabs were in majority. Christians were in the second most number, and Jews were insignificant minority, the least. It was only after the Jews, I think mainly from Europe, and after the World War II came inside of Palestine, and this is all done by a third party, which was a colonial power called the British Empire.
How can you say you have no problem with the Jews, but you have a problem with the Israelis? Given that
course,
most
there's a huge
Israelis are
difference.
Jewish.
I'm just astonished that you can't make the difference
Exactly.
between the Jews and the Israelis, Piers.
And you say it's because they're Israelis, not
He's
Jewish.
Because they
just
occupied
making
us,
this up.
because they occupied our
Look at this
country.
guy
And
acting
they're
as a
Jewish.
stupid
No,
guy,
just-
Piers Morgan. He's a journalist. He has grey hair. I don't know, he's older. He's like my grandpa. And he seems that he doesn't understand the difference between the Jews and the Israeli state. He doesn't understand the difference between the state and a religious group.
It's because they occupied our country.
Stupid
Because they're
guy.
colonizers. Because they came to our country, kicked us out in 1948,
Yeah.
and they killed thousands of Palestinians, including my grandparents.
You
were
know
killed.
why Israel was set up. It was set up after World War II, in which
That
Jewish
is
people
fucking
were the
not
victims of an
Palestinians'
appalling
problem.
Holocaust by
It's
Hitler
not the
and the Nazis, where
problem
6
of the
million
Arabs.
them were exterminated purely because of their ethnicity.
So how is
And
it?
That's correct.
and
So how the fuck is this a problem of the Palestinian people, or for example, the people of the Middle East? If Holocaust was carried out in Europe by German, why don't you settle them inside of Germany? Or why don't you settle them inside of Europe?
and being Jewish.
That's
So
correct.
the Jewish people were given the state of Israel.
My country.
Well, okay, I understand that.
lands.
Listen, I understand that.
The Jewish people were given the state of Israel. He means the British gave the state of... Who the fuck is the British to give a state of Israel in an Arab country?
Argument. I
How is
understand
that
the
even
whole
valid?
history and the whole
It's the
argument.
whole- it's
but the
all of the
idea,
story starts
but it
from
wasn't
here.
Israelis given that place. It was the Jewish people.
Yeah, but who are you to give the Jewish
Yeah,
people
yeah.
my country?
Who are you? Who the
I'm
fuck
not
are
living
you?
in-
The right question is, who the fuck are you to give the Jewish people the land? Who the fuck are you?
It's a-
That's
I'm
how
not
it
talking
should
about
be
you
asked.
personally.
Yeah.
I'm talking about those who send the Zionists to come and kill our families and take our lands. We have a problem with the occupiers, Piers. We don't have a problem with the Jews.
That is actually what
I mean, this guy, Ahmed Al-Nauk, is so very patient.
genocide is. When you want to kill
If
as
I
many
was there,
Jews as you can
I would have-
kill.
That's the
Fuck
problem.
this
here.
guy
Yeah, but that is
in his
genocide.
ass.
That is the problem. You
Fuck
always
this
say that
guy.
they want to kill the Jews.
They do.
Piers Morgan
That is
in his
dangerous.
ass.
You and I know that.
But they do.
Our problem is not against
don't make
the
any-
Jews.
they don't make any
no,
secret of
no. Our problem is not with the Jews. And even Hamas' problem is not with the Jews. It is with the
Well,
Israelis.
why do they kill so many Jews then?
They did not kill Jews, they killed Israelis. And
Ah.
I don't justify killing of Israel. It's not that I want them to kill Israelis.
What
But there's a
religion do
huge
you suspect
difference.
most of the Israelis were?
It doesn't matter.
does matter.
No, it makes a huge difference. They were not attacked because they were Jews. They were attacked because they were Israelis. It's a
Exactly.
huge difference.
Well, how many of the people who were
would you
killed?
kill?
Guys, I am Indian. And I'm a Hindu. I'm a proud Hindu. And I don't take sides with the Muslims when it comes to terrorism. And India has seen a lot of terrorism by the Muslims, both from outside as well as from inside of our country. And having seen Muslims, their attitude, I condemn and I am critical of them, and on so many occasions. And it's, there are so many incidences within our country, and I am critical of the attitude of the Muslims for a large part. Okay, it's not that Hindus are just and this thing, they have a role to play too, and but in comparison, I think the Muslims are to be blamed for the problems in India for the larger part. Okay, but in the recent times, yeah, it's a different kind of politics where even the Hindu parties are also equally irritating or antagonizing religious minorities. That is a different question. But why I'm saying this is, I am critical of terrorism, especially Islamic terrorism. But what is going on in Palestine is totally different. The Hamas, I mean, I know that many Indians would say, I mean, what the hell are you saying? Hamas, I don't consider them as terrorists. I consider them as freedom fighters. They are fighting, I mean, they are fighting for their motherland. What is wrong in that? I mean, now, okay, as an Indian, if any Indian is saying, oh, how can you support Hamas? They are terrorists. They killed so many Jews and Israelis. Yeah, they did. They did because they were fighting for the cause of their homeland. Now, if Indian freedom fighters are violent, what do you do? What do you say? Let's take the example of Bhagat Singh and Subhash Chandra Bose. They had violent means of opposing the British. So do you call them terrorists? That is what the Britishers call them, as terrorists. But as an Indian, what do you call them? You call them freedom fighters, right? So doesn't the same analogy apply here? You are only objecting because you have a hatred towards Muslims. Now, even I don't approve of many of the acts of the Muslims in India and from Pakistan, but I don't hate Islam as a religion, nor do I think that every Muslim is like that. Having said that, I really empathize and I feel very sorry for a Palestinian, because just imagine, you just see the map, the Israeli map, or let's say we'll start with Palestine, how the map was Palestine before. Later in 1947 or 1948, I think, it's in 1948, 1 year after we got our independence, that because of the British and the UN, the West Bank and Gaza was carved out as a Palestinian state, and the rest went to, the land was called as Israel, the land of Israel. That itself is unjustified. And now what Israel has done is they have wiped out Gaza now. Gaza is not livable at all. Okay, and then West Bank is within Israel. It is like a small island surrounded by the state of Israel, and there is nothing much that the people, the Muslim or the Arab Palestinians who are within the West Bank can do about it, because they are highly controlled. It's a highly controlled environment. There's not much freedom for them. Okay, the only place they had was a small strip called Gaza. Okay, and that also these guys have wiped out. I don't know. I really don't know what to say.